Hi everyone. Um, okay, I think this is about 1 p.m. and I'd like to welcome everybody to our very first edition of this webinar. Thank you for registering and thank you for joining in as well. I hope you can all hear me because all right, thank you very much. Okay, so before we get started, into today's program, I would like to, as briefly as possible, introduce the InsurTech Business Series podcast. But before that, I'm excited to announce the introduction of Gray Limited, which is more or less like the house of the initiative of the IBS podcast. So what we do at Gray Limited basically is the fact that we consult for insurance companies and insurtech business startups rather. And also we're looking to, as much as possible, try to help, the insurance space grow even further. So in terms of penetration, we're looking on how to, partner with insurance and insurtech businesses to ensure that we're able to, in Africa, especially when it comes to, the markets, and then the opportunities that lies therein. So being a part of Gray Limited, one of the things that we do is the InsurTech Business Series podcast, which majority of us are quite, aware of, and then we tend to follow, which is commendable, really. You guys have been so fantastic. You've been so amazing in terms of, supporting us, especially ever since the launch of the IBS podcast since April 2020. So what do we do at the podcast? We aim at, it's basically an initiative that we use to encourage learning, fostering, innovation and networking within the insurance industry in Africa. It's just one thing that we realized that communication, partnership, and all of these things are quite missing in, this part of Africa. And it just seemed like one of the best things to do, have those conversations, bring it to the fore as much as possible. Let's continue to talk about this until we begin to see the changes that we want to see in the industry. The last time we did a report, read a report, was conducted by Swiss Re Sigma 4. It's pegs our insurance penetration at 0.3%, which I think is actually poor for the numbers that we have currently in Nigeria. So the InsurTech Business Series podcast was, birthed out of the need to ensure that we don't just have that particular percentage, it's rather low, and we know that there are market opportunities in Nigeria. So how do we do that? In terms of bringing, thought leaders. So what we've sought to do is also to engage insurance professionals from all over the world, different continents. We're very conversant with our bi-monthly podcast series. We realized that we've had conversations with different speakers from Germany, from London, from the UK rather. We've had from Kenya, we've had from South Africa, we've had from India, and we try as much as possible to ensure that it is quite the conversations we're having is just not restricted to just a bit of just, it's not sidelined just to Africa, basically. So that's what, as much as possible, we try to do. So we try to have conversations around technology, because technology is obviously disrupting the African space as it is now. Not just even the African space, globally, we're having a lot of technology disruptions, and if we don't pick up to that pace, we might be left out at the end of the day. So it's quite important for us to have most of these conversations around technology, innovations, and opportunities. And one of the opportunities you say is, the African Free Trade Agreement that has been signed by over 51 countries, which I think is actually commendable. more or less like replicating what the EU used to do, of course, before Brexit. So it's a lot important for us to, I mean, these are the opportunities that we wish to see in Africa, and I think that's one of the most important things. Also, as a fallout from our Insurtech Business Series podcast, one of the conversations we had was one of the events we had last year was the Insurtech Business Series conference, which we had different people from different continents come to speak. Over 20 speakers from about 5 continents come to speak on that conference. And the fallout from that conference was the fact that we needed to create a platform that encourages conversations around digitization, around partnerships, innovations, and opportunities. And that is why this webinar is so important for us to have, because we're seeing opportunities in the agri space. Again, a fallout of the the free trade zone for Africa is one of the reasons why we're excited about this. And I think that is an important conversation to have at this point in time, because it is critical, it is crucial, and then this seems like a wider market, So it's expected that these free trade agreements would increase our economies, on various African countries. Is going to, boost our exports, which I think is one of the important things that is currently crashing most of our economy. So this is one of the reasons why we are having this webinar. And again, my name is Queen Folua, and before I introduce our speakers, I would like for my co-hosts to come on and introduce himself, as well as our beautiful speakers who are thought leaders in this industry, and they've chosen to take their time out to educate us and bring these conversations to a fore. Thank you. Hi, Damola.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Hi, and welcome to this webinar. It's the first one, like Olumi said, and we're excited about this. We're excited to host everyone to this conversation. We are delving into the agribusiness space, and we have a number of amazing people who are joining us today. And I'm going to take a few minutes to introduce them before they come on. First off is Victoria Madedo. Victoria Madedo is currently the group head business development at BOI Investment and Trust, and we've seen a lot of things that she's been doing, with the African farmer stories, and then also I know that she's also a faculty at the Kedia Institute, one of the interesting platforms where you can learn about innovation and things like that. So thank you very much for joining us, Victoria.
Thank you so much for having me this afternoon.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. So our next guest is Folashade Joseph. So Folashade Joseph is the current Managing Director, CEO of Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation. And, the President of Nigeria actually recently reappointed her, as the MD of the corporation. And we're super excited to hear what she has to say from the Nike perspective as regards the agribusiness space. So welcome, Ma. Okay, so our next guest is Caleb Ojewale. Caleb Ojewale is an award-winning journalist. He's going to be the moderator of this session, and we're super excited to have him part of this conversation. He's doing a lot of work in the agricultural area, reporting a lot of things that are happening, importantly on the ground, right? So super interesting to have him. And funny enough, he was a colleague of mine, back in Unilag or MSc. So I'm super excited to have you, Caleb. Welcome.
Hi, it's nice joining you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, welcome. Yes. So last but not the least is Thomas Njeru. Oh no, not last. Well, yeah, so Thomas Njeru is the co-founder of Pula. Pula is an insurtech company based out of Kenya who are hell bent really on helping small scale farmers to get the right protection that they need in order to do their work. And so we're super excited to have Thomas and Jerry join us. He's, like I said, the co-founder of Pula, and recently he got some funding of about I think $6 million US dollars to expand their work, across Africa and even outside of Africa. I think so. And funny enough, he loves chess. So, Thomas, was it your chess abilities that got you that much money?
Sorry, I don't have my video, but probably, you never know. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to meet you all.
Great to have you. And last but not the least, we have Edobong Akpabio. Edobong Akpabio is an agropreneur, and she's vastly experienced in the space, and we are super excited to have her as part of the conversation as well, to share our thoughts about the business and what our colleagues as well are feeling. So welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Damola. Thank you for having me.
Great. So I'm going to leave it to Caleb right now to kick it off and continue the conversation.
Okay, thank you, Damola, for the introductions. It's nice seeing all panelists are here and early too. And I believe that means we are going to have our conversations well on time, and hopefully we can deliver some value to those who have joined us here on the Zoom platform and those who are watching on YouTube. So again, my name is Caleb Ojewale. I'm a journalist with Business Day, and with me, as Damola has earlier introduced, panelists who are very knowledgeable in their fields, and I hope they can do justice to some of the questions that we have here, and of course, when we have the Q&A session. So to start this session, we are looking into this conversation, agribusiness in Africa, the current realities and opportunities for tech and insurance. I'd like to start with Edobong Akpabio, who is an agro entrepreneur. I believe she introduced herself just now. Madam, are you here? Are you here, please?
I am.
Okay, great. So I would like to direct the first question to you. From the perspective of a producer, can you share with us what are those limitations to insurance uptake in the agri sector from practical knowledge that you have? In just a minute or two, what are those limitations to uptake of insurance in the agri sector?
Thank you very much, Caleb. The first one I would say I've seen is lack of trust. We have trust issues. The farmers have trust issues with insurance companies. Insurance companies have trust issues with farmers. So that's a huge gap there. So I see that happening all the time. The expectations, are not met. Obligations are not met. Whichever party is at fault is not something that we can readily agree upon, but there are trust issues. The second one is the appreciation of value. One of the things that insurance practitioners have not been able to provide for farmers' appreciation is the value that they are providing. Ideally, insurance should not be something that any business person would contest. It's a risk management support system, and it's very, very useful for businesses. So for farmers to contend with, the insurance companies are just collecting our money, and then we don't know what they don't do anything. It's lack of appreciation of the value. of insurance. So we've not been able to get that from insurance companies. They just say, oh, insurance, we can give you insurance. We have insurance products for you. And we can't see, we'd like to see things physically, and it's not a physical benefit until something happens. So that has not been communicated. The communication of the value of insurance has not, I don't think it has sunk in to a lot of farmers. So for me, those are two very key issues that insurance farmers are having with insurance companies.
Thank you very much for the insights you've shared with us. And I'm sure we are still going to get at least one other panelist to comment on that. And you've mentioned the trust issues and then value appreciation, which I believe are very important points that we have noted. And so now I'd like to go to Victoria at BOI. Hello, Victoria. Are you still with us, please?
I'm right here, Mr. Caleb.
Okay, great. So the question I would like to ask you, in your own experience over the years, how much has the absence of insurance affected confidence in extending credit to agribusinesses? And of course, particularly those in primary production, because when we talk about insurance in agribusiness, it's more often those in primary production. So in your own experience, in having the confidence to extend credit, what role does insurance or the lack of it play in that mix?
Okay, thank you very much. The availability of insurance would have helped significantly in improving trust between the funders and entrepreneurs in the agribusiness space. Unfortunately, there is no available and dependable insurance company that can provide insurance bonds that will be when it crystallizes, you are able to call on those bonds. So in the past, in trying to ensure that there is access to funding, there was the option by Bank of Industry to accept insurance bonds as way of collateralization. What happened at that point was most of the insurance companies defaulted when the bonds crystallized. And it would have been one of the cheapest ways in collateralizing funding for agribusinesses, both those in primary production and those in processing. But most of these insurance companies do not have the capital position to be able to fund these covers when they crystallize. Now, there are new entrants who have also provided some means of micro insurance or are still trying to penetrate the market to provide a level of micro insurance. If this micro insurance methodology works, then it will, to a large extent, also provide confidence for funders, because you are certain that at a point where there's issues, because agriculture is very volatile. There can be a pandemic in the sector, like what we found in Okiaro, and the whole of Okiaro, who most of them, they borrowed funds, to rear their pigs, lost all of their pigs, and there was no insurance cover, there was no insurance premium. So lending to them is higher risk. They did not anticipate for that pandemic to come to their settlement. So lending to them now, it's even higher risk. So premium interest rate for them will be higher. There'll be no confidence because they're sure that these people, even the ones that had insurances, some of them have not been able to collect on that insurance as at date. So, I mean, no insurance, or the inability for insurers to provide claim when it is needed, has really, really affected funders' confidence in the sector.
Okay, great. Thank you for those insights you've shared with us, Victoria, and some interesting points you've made there. And so very quickly, we'll go to the next panelist as well. And this is, we want to run through the questions so that those who have questions can also get to ask our panelists. The next question here is for Folashade Joseph, the MD of the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, who I understand is represented by Jerome Olowoyeye. Jerome, are you here, please?
What is wrong with these people? Okay, yes, Jerome, I'm here, please. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, okay, I'm here.
Good afternoon. Okay, nice.
This time is playing some tricks on me. Yeah, thank you.
All right, that's fine. Okay, great. So we've had two other panelists who have shared their thoughts with us. And I was going to ask, there seems to be an apathy of sorts towards insurance uptake by agribusinesses in Nigeria, and especially the primary producers. And Edomo earlier also alluded this much when she mentioned trust issues when we asked her an earlier question. So the question now is, what confidence boosting provisions currently exist as incentives for agribusinesses to actually get insured in Nigeria?
Thank you so much. I want to appreciate the organizers for this beautiful webinar. First, the issue of trust. Let me start from the issue of trust. We understand the issue of trust from when insurance came to Nigeria. And the issue of trust has been a long problem for insurance industry in Nigeria and even in Africa. But the government in Nigeria, especially in agricultural insurance, in say 1987 established the Nigeria Agricultural Insurance Corporation. And part of the measures to build the trust was to ensure that farmers pays only 50% of the charged premium to gain their interest, so that once their interest is gained as a business man in farm or in any agricultural endeavor, once that initial interest has been gained, then they can sustain it over time, by renewing their insurance contract every year. So the farmers has that 50% subsidy. More importantly, when the government was establishing the corporation, that is the Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation, the government stated that farmers can take insurance policies from NAIC if they wish. It is not compulsory. But once they take loan from any source within this country or even outside, if that project is funded by credit, then they must take a cover under the scheme, such that the disbursing agency will remit the premium on that project to NAIC directly. Now, what we see, the problem, like the problem of trust is there, but when you look at the general problem of trust with insurance company, as I said earlier, it has continued to dog the insurance industry. But the corporation, in the since the time it has departed in Nigeria, within the period of our operations, we have been able to reduce that mistrust between NAIC and the clients that have been covered by us. Yes, other comers are coming in. You expect a lot of things. In fact, some of the projects that are supposed to be covered by NAIC, that is the compulsory one through credit, are being diverted to some of these private practitioners. and people are getting their hands burnt from there. How is that the problem of Nike? So we just need to try to synergize with every member, every stakeholder in the industry, in the insurance and the agri industry, so that we continue to preach this agri insurance scheme. While other newcomers are welcome, we have to continue to state the boundaries so that we continue to work hand in hand in synergy, so that we expand the agricultural insurance market in Nigeria and even indeed in Africa. We are ready for collaboration, but these things must be done appropriately so that everybody will know their area, their core area of operations, and then we can also have synergy and transfer of knowledge between Nigeria Agricultural Corporation and the other private practitioners. Then from there, we can totally remove the issue of trust because insurance is good, is great. You can see the immediate insurance provider. We also have somebody covering his back. Those are the insurers. So by the time we have the co-insurance, the insurers, all of us working together with the farmers and other stakeholders, I believe the issue of trust will disappear, and the issue of those people who fail to insure their pigs will not be there any longer. They will gain the trust. They will cover their project with appropriate insurance policy, and then everybody will be happy for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those insights you shared with us, Mr. Loye. We are still going to come back to you. And now to our fourth panelist, Thomas. Thomas, are you here, please?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, great. It's always nice speaking with multi-million-dollar folks every now and then. So the question I have for you,
yes.
So you have a platform that's looking to bridge the gap in insurance by smallholder farmers. So the question I want to ask is, this platform that you have set up, one, just briefly in 30 seconds, for those who are not aware, how exactly does this platform operate? And more importantly, how can it be scaled for greater impact across Africa?
Okay, fantastic. Thanks a lot. I guess, as you correctly put it, it's possible some people don't know much about Pula. So I'll just briefly introduce Pula. We are an insurtech, and we focus on design, distribution, and execution of insurance solution to smallholder farmers. And of course, all that enabled by tech to make the unit economics work. And then on the distribution side, what we do is that we actually embed insurance in inputs. This is seed, fertilizer, credit, government subsidy programs. To date, we've cumulatively insured about 4.4 million farmers. And for instance, in Nigeria, we insure the Anchor Borrowers program whereby we actually protect the farmers with that get credit on the Anchor Borrowers program with our area yield product. So if I may just give a brief about how the product works, which is essentially the one that is our flagship solution. It actually works as a yield guarantee and protects farmers against all risks that might affect their yield. It's a comprehensive activity. The first thing we do is divide a country into agroecological zones based on historical rainfall and yield data. And then at the end of the season, we sample farmers per agroecological zone to harvest measurements on the selected farms. And based on the crop cut data, we establish the average yield per agroecological zone. And if the yields are lower than the determined trigger level in the ecology, all farmers receive a payout. Of course, it could be a cash payout or basically another bag of seed, another bag of fertilizer, depending on the arrangement of the client. This sounds simple, but this is behind it a lot of artificial intelligence, remote sensing technology, mobile technology and data management systems to support the data collection process and also make it as cost effective as possible, because on average, each farmer pays us like $3-4. So essentially you have to make the unit economics work for that.
Okay, great. So I think the more important part of the question is how this solution can be scaled across Africa, because I believe it's functional in only a few locations, if I'm not mistaken.
So we're currently in 13 countries across the continent and look to expand that into at least 25 countries across the continent, not only in Africa, actually. We just set up base in Asia as well as Latin America. And for scale up, what is our model relies heavily on partnerships. So partnerships with governments, this is ministries of agriculture or Ministry of Finance, partnerships with development partners such as IFAD, such as Bill and Melinda Gates, that are AGRA, that actually work closely with and they act as convening partners as well as fund our setup costs in each of the countries that we go to. So if I were to say the one thing that will enable a scale up of the solution, I will say it's partnerships, because we have the technology, we have the platform, we have the execution capability. So all we need now is partnership to enable us to get into new territories.
Okay, great. Thank you for those insights you've shared with us, Thomas. And so now we've had the first round of questions for each of our panelists. And the next thing that we are going to be getting insights from each panelist is on after the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Everyone has talked about it for years, and it's finally a reality. And so we would like to get some insights from the panel members on what opportunities they think could be provided with better insurance and technology for agribusinesses on the continent. Nigeria is looking to take advantage of that, but for small players that make up the bulk of the market to participate, they need to have a certain leverage. There are countries that have better infrastructure and better access than Nigeria. So can insurance perhaps be a leveler? Can technology do something? So I would like to ask Edobong the first question again. For players like you, do you think you stand a better chance of taking part in the big African market after taking off? And if you do, what roles do you see insurance and tech playing in improving your access to market? And by your access to market, this will be referring to not just you specifically, but small players in the agribusiness space in Nigeria. Edobong, yeah. Are you still helping?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So do you think insurance can make any difference in how you get to play in the larger African market, and how?
Yeah, thank you, Caleb. AFTA is very interesting for us farmers right now, because what it says is that if you play your game very well, you are looking at 1.3 billion market, not the 200 million that we are playing right now. So you're looking at a larger market that you need to go into, and you need to feed, you need to provide goods and services. And so insurance will be very, very important factor for any company playing in AFTA to succeed right now, because we're looking to work with countries where insurance is already part and parcel of the body of their business. It's like saying that you're going to start a business and you're going to get a location. So getting insurance is as easy as that in some of those companies. So for us that we are still having issues here and there, we need to tidy up so that our companies can be competitive, our businesses can be competitive, our products can be competitive. out there. And once your products leave your location, it is insurance that you're going to have to lean on until you have collected on your payments. So if anything happens to those products after they leave your premises, and you are still responsible for them until they get to the customer, you are still at risk. Insurance is there to cover that risk. And that is why it's important right now. A few of the things I would have added, Victoria talked about availability. I'm also talking about poor education of farmers on insurance products. A lot of farmers only get to connect with insurance on a serious level if they know about what is happening there. Many others do not have any idea. Some others are forced to take it because they've gotten a loan. If it hadn't been for the loan, they would not touch insurance. So we need to have a lot of education for our farmers, because insurance is going to be very key in the scaling of our businesses. With AFTA, my business cannot stay the way it is right now any longer. AFTA is going to challenge the growth and the scale up of my business. And insurance is a huge factor in that. So it is very important for us as we talk about AFTA, as we try to get our businesses prepared for AFTA, we should key in to what insurance, the development of insurance, and also the consciousness and the implementation. We need to have that at the back of our minds. Let's just take insurance as part and parcel of the things we need for our businesses to do well, our businesses to grow, and our businesses to scale up. That is a challenge that AFTA presents to us right now.
Thank you very much for those insights you've shared with us, Edoba. And I believe it's very important to improve on the education and awareness for farmers, and also an interesting angle that you raised. Even when you are able to produce and ship to the African market, it has to be covered by one form of insurance or the other. And now to the next panelist, still in the same order as the first round of questions, to Victoria. Still on AFTA, with it taking off, as someone on the finance side, what roles do you think insurance and tech, if you may, what roles do you think they should be playing in improving access to markets for Nigerian players that will be targeting the wider African space?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Caleb. As it were today, we know that when you want to export, it is critical for you to have insurance cover anywhere you're exporting to in Europe and in America. And so it will be if you are exporting within Africa. So insurance is going to play a huge role in facilitating trade, hinging on the AFTA that has been signed. Having said that, what are the insurance policies that are required to facilitate these things? Do the insurance companies, do they understand the needs of the farmers? There's a huge gap, because most times the farmers are thinking, oh, once I have a problem with my production or with my shipment, immediately I should be able to get returns or to collect my claim immediately. But like Edobong said, the lack of education has, prevented these farmers to understand, or these entrepreneurs to understand, that for insurance policies, it takes time to receive your claim. So it's critical for the insurance companies as at now to explain and educate the farmers on these criteria when they collect their policy, when they are signing up for policies, that it will take you a minimum of 3 months or a maximum of 6 months. Give it a timing, so it helps the entrepreneur to understand what they are up against when they sign up for insurance cover. If I should use the insurance for vehicles as an analogy, you see that a lot of people do not want to take premium policies, full policies. They would rather take third-party policies because they believe that there's no impact on them when it comes to collecting the claim. Most times you find that because it's third party, I can fix my car when I want to fix my car. Now, when it comes to agriculture, when there is a crisis, the policies should be able to kick into play immediately. Now that we're talking about Uptake, we're talking about competitiveness. So insurance needs to boost that competitiveness between entrepreneurs trading across border. It will also help when it comes to financing, because I will be sure that if there is insurance, proper insurance cover and a responsive insurance cover that would pay me within a particular time frame, I'll be confident enough to finance that trade or finance that production, because I know that if there's any issues in terms of quality and if the product is rejected, that within a certain period of time, I will get my claim back. I don't need to start chasing the insurer before I get my claim. In poultry sector today, people are still chasing insurance, whether government insurer or private insurer. There is a disconnect between the promissory that is given to the entrepreneur and the reality when it comes to time for receiving claims. And that is also an issue for fund providers, because we want a situation whereby we call upon the insurance and the claims are paid immediately. Thanks.
Thank you very much for those insights again, Victoria. And I believe a lot of the points being raised are directed pretty much to our next panelist, Mr. Oloye, who's representing the MD of NAIC. So you've heard from the first two panel members. So I would like to ask you, as an insurance corporation, what are you planning to do differently in improving access to market for Nigerian players now that they will be targeting the African market as a whole? Are you going to be doing anything different? Are you going to be doing anything new? How are you going to support them to get a larger share of the African pie? Over to you, Jerome.
Thank you, Mr. Caleb. First, I want to quickly respond to the speakers before I go to that. We, on education of farmers, the corporation, almost since the past 3 or 4 years now, we started a program of educating farmers. We call it Farmer Sensitization Program. We are holding this in selected states of the Federation. Once we have some this year, we choose another set of states next year. Before you know it, we'll cover most of these states. And then these farmers choosing can be able to share the same knowledge with their colleagues across the nation. Then on claims payment issues, especially on poultry, there are a lot of set of rules to be obeyed when you insure your poultry farm. The record of loss, the little mortality, we call it mortality, when the birds are dying, the record of the dying birds must be well kept, and they must be forwarded to the insurer, because claims in poultry is always very, very high. So they need to be well monitored. So if these records are not kept and they are just accumulated over a period of time without the knowledge of the insurer, there will be problems there. So sometimes it's part of some of the problems envisaged in claims payment are traceable to insured. As much as we don't want to blame them, as much as we are there to protect them, they have their own area to look at. I want to now go back to, I want to finalize on that response to claim. The issue of claims to us in agricultural insurance is affected by brokers. premiums that are supposed to be remitted by brokers are sometimes not remitted by those brokers, and the financial institution will not know that these premiums are not remitted. And we all know the section 50 of the Insurance Act says that if there is no premium paid, then there is no cover. So if these brokers don't pay this premium, and the financial institution didn't find out whether the contract has actually been consummated, once claims comes and premium is not remitted, we all know that there is no claim in that agreement. So in that contract. So that is part of what is affecting claims payment in the agricultural insurance industry. Now, as to what we are doing new, we are designing new policies at the Nigeria Agricultural Insurance Corporation, and we are also sharing some of our knowledge with some of these private practitioners, because they are newcomers. They will not know the terrain. Some of them have been coming to us. We have been sharing our ideas with them, and we are designing new policies to address the recent events, recent risks that are emerging risks. More importantly, we have been able to adopt, or let me say adapt, some of the general insurance policies to cover agricultural insurance value chain, you know, from production to all this transport, all this marine, all these products, goods in transit. In fact, right now we are entering into a lot of agreement. We have one with the agricultural produce marketing agency, association, one of the associations, one of the umbrella associations, where we are designing a scheme for them. We are working on a scheme with the AFAN, Apex Farmers Association of Nigeria. And you know, in AFAN, there are so many commodity associations under AFAN. And we are trying to widen the horizon by networking with sometimes ago we talked to brokers in the industry, so as to be able to be a fulcrum of activities in the agricultural insurance space. So we are doing a lot to try to, like I said, we have been educating the farmers, and we'll continue to do that. And the education of the farmers is, you know, is breaking a lot of barriers, so that we are getting a lot of requests for information on daily basis. You know, apart from the head of planning and research, I'm also the chairman of Savicom in NAIC. I know a lot of responses, requests that have been coming to me, and a lot of feedback I get from the branch offices. As you know, we have branch offices in every state of the Nigerian Federation. So we are closer to the grassroots farmers, and we are getting a lot of responses for them. And more importantly, there was a survey we carried out sometimes 2 years ago, or last year, and the report of the survey is being implemented gradually by the corporation, so that we are feeling the pulse of the farmers. We want to know what the farmers actually want, so that we are able to meet them at the point of their needs, so to say, so that everybody will just be happy at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those insights you've shared with us, Jerome. It's nice getting your feedback to some of the issues raised. And now we move to Thomas for the final round of questions. Unfortunately, because of time, I will not be taking the third round of questions. We will be moving to the Q&A for other participants to be able to ask us their questions. So Thomas, the last question I'll just ask you here, you've done something already. You are in 13 countries at the moment, and you are planning to expand. What lessons can your Nigerian counterparts play in your space? What can they learn from the success of Pula in using technology to deepen insurance penetration in the country? Can you just share some insights with us?
Thanks a lot, Caleb. I think if I may start, first of all, we work actually a lot in Nigeria. Nigeria is actually our biggest market. But what I will say is that some of the learnings that we've picked up along the journey is number one, and responding to actually the first panelist who talk about the element of trust. I think that's a key point of how you can use technology to enable trust. So for us, for instance, we use technology to enable continuous communication. So we do digital communication means at the beginning, during, at the end of the season, which is very important, and because it enables farmers to actually, one, understand what insurance is, but then also enable them to know that we are with them along the way. The second part, I think, again, still that was raised by the first speaker, is around how do you make insurance tangible? Because I mean, sometimes insurance, especially in agriculture sector, is a 1 in 5 risk. And it takes long before a farmer actually is able to see the benefit of it. So what we do is we bundle insurance with digital agronomy, where we actually give very customized information to farmers, how to be better farmers, how to increase their productivity, how to avoid the risks, for instance, the best time to plant, prediction on things around floods, how to respond to the floods if they happen. And this enables farmers to actually see value when there is no claims. The second thing is, which is very important, is for us, we go to the field to randomly sample the farmers to assess these losses. And when the farmers see that their neighbors have been visited, increases trust of the insurance process. So we combine not only technology, but also our field presence. So being present is super critical in enabling the trust component. The other part I always sort of push for when it comes to the role of technology is it's very expensive to serve the smallholder farmers. Given, I mean, you're talking about someone who probably the insured value is less than $1,000 for a full season. So then how do you structure insurance that has value and make sure that you don't spend more than 30% of the premium in your execution? So the key thing there is using technology to reduce your cost, and whatever cost savings that you get, then you transfer that to the farmers, so that your expected claim cost is not less than 70% of the premium. This is important because it enables the value for the farmers to see value in the long term.
Thank you very much, Thomas, for the insights you've shared as well. And I hope, well, those in that space here in Nigeria would have picked up a thing or two in improving their processes as well. And who knows, maybe they will attract some sort of funding like you are currently doing in order to deepen insurance for smallholder farmers and agribusinesses in general. And so this brings us to the end of the panel discussion. I'll be handing over back to Damola for the Q&A session so we can get some feedback from other participants. I believe Damola or Folua will take over from here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Caleb, and to all of our panelists. You've actually done amazingly well. And I have series of questions, but I think I would like to start with Thomas. Fiona, I can see that you're raising your hand. I'll call you right after I've presented this question to Thomas. I hope Thomas is there. So Thomas from Yolanda. Yolanda has said that what regulation challenges are you facing as Pula, and how are you navigating these challenges at Pula? That's one of the questions from Yolanda. We also have another question that's asking about how you're thinking about the agri insurance differently, and how has Pula been tackling the difference in promise and reality the farmers experience with insurance. I could repeat the question. So there's a question that says that, how are you thinking about the agri insurance business differently? How are you able to manage, what you have promised with the reality of what is being experienced with the insurance space? That's one of the questions. I could ask the second one maybe right after you've answered this.
Okay, so thanks a lot. So the first thing in terms of delivering the client expectations, what we do is we do a constant communication, because I always say disappointment is a difference between expectation and reality. So we make sure that the farmers and the customers' expectation is actually as the policy promises. So that we do by continuously engaging the farmers, and as I indicated, through digital means. And then of course there's also the element of how even you structure the product. So we are very pro the customer in terms of how we structure the product. We don't sell products that we know will have a problem of delivering value. And we have in some cases actually even discontinued some solutions because of that. So it starts with how you go about your product development, and then eventually is how you engage the customer to make sure and localize it as much as possible. You have local languages. We also have open lines. We have call centers that farmers can always call and ask any questions at any one point. So open line of communication, and also making sure that we have the right product. Yeah.
Okay, I think that also, but in terms of that, how have you been able to, like Yolanda rightly asked, she said, like what regulatory challenges have you faced, and how were you able to, navigate through those challenges?
So if you think about it, so we do distribution. So we are a broker. We do product design and development. So we are an actuarial services company. We do execution of the product in the field. So we are a service provider to insurance companies. If we also do loss assessment, claim settlement, we do reinsurance placement. So we are an insurance broker. So if you look at your traditional insurance regulation, is we sit in probably 6 or 7 roles, right? So and of course, a regulatory challenge comes when you're having conversation with regulators. The first question is, who are you? Are you a broker? Are you a loss assessor? Are you a claim settlement agent? Are you a reinsurance broker? Are you an actuarial services company? Are you a technology provider? And the answer is we are all of that. So you can't say there's existing regulations that define how we should be regulated in the market. So that's a regulatory challenge on its own, and the case is the same across the continent in each country that we go to. So how do we go around that problem? So we effectively engage regulators every time we get into a country. We have conversations, explain to them what we're trying to do. And they let us operate, understanding that we mean well. We're here to try to insure the uninsured, which are farmers, and increase the penetration of insurance in the country. So we've seen most regulators across the continent open to these new ways of doing things, and more so they are open to trying things, and as long as you don't, you're acting in the interest of the consumers, you have products that work, and you've demonstrated capability and experience to execute.
I think that answers the question. But all right, thank you very much, Thomas. I think Fiona was raising her hand at some particular point in time. So I would, Fiona, could you ask your question before I move on to other questions relating to Victoria? Fiona, okay, I'm guessing she's off. All right, to I have a question for Victoria. This is from Ibimobowe. Sorry if I hope I didn't murder your name. So he has asked you, Victoria. He said it's not easy. It's not going to be easy getting claims paid as swiftly as farmers would expect, as most farmers produce are time bound. For instance, how do you compensate a farmer who has just lost a huge acreage of maize farm, still within a farming season, and needs to recultivate to meet up with the yields? So I think it's asking about the time difference when it comes to claims, and having to have access to claims funds, and as much as possible recuperate or be indemnified quickly in order to meet up with the timeline. What do you have to say about that, Victoria?
So I think we have the same line of thought that a lot of insurance claims take too long a time to come in. And knowing fully well that most of these farmers that mostly in the crop sector that are being funded or that are insured do not have a huge cash flow to be able to fund the next batch of farming if anything happens to their farm, to their crops. So for me, it is critical, and I think that's the major message I would want to share today. It's critical for the insurance companies to understand that agriculture requires timeliness. We cannot afford to do 3, 6 months, 12 months kind of claim payment in agriculture. When it happens, you need to settle immediately. If you are only covering for 30% of whatever has been lost, you need to cover immediately. If it means covering a portion first, giving the claim for a percentage first while finalizing your evaluation, you do some level of payout so that it gives some kind of confidence to the farmers that you actually care about their business. The lack of trust is enshrined in no care by, or assumption of no care by the insurance company, insurance providers. So critical takeout for both the brokers that are in the house today and insurers that are in the house today is time is of essence in agriculture. Provide them some level of payout before you finalize, and using technology, which I have seen with one insurance company, Royal Exchange, if you may, have been able to help provide that claim on time for their new set of covers that they've provided to farmers, because they're using technology to evaluate, to collect data from the farmer and to quickly analyze the impact using the GPS location, to use Google Earth to narrow down onto that portion where the crisis has occurred, or the risk has taken place, so that they can effectively make a judgment call that is timely. Even if you're not paying 100%, at least pay out something to give some level of confidence to the farmer or the entrepreneur. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victoria. Because of our time, I just think that I need to round this off so that we can actually go to our breakout session, and we can have the opportunity to, as much as possible, interact. But in order to have a fleshing of what Victoria has said, I would like that Jerome actually says a thing or two, since he plays in the insurance space, about the timeline it takes to for a farmer to recover or to be indemnified, and to meet up as well with the period of the yields for that season. So is Jerome on at the moment?
Yes, I'm on. Hello, are you with me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, I will say it again. it is true that sometimes it takes time to adjust these claims once they crystallize. But most time, it has to do with the documentation. If the claimant doesn't report on time, if he or she reports on time, and the appropriate documents and necessary pictures are not forwarded on time, or if they are forwarded on time and the claims are adjusted and offered to him and is not accepting the quantum on time, those are the kind of scenario that affect claims payment. But nevertheless, we as insurance companies have benefited from some of the knowledge that is being shared, and we will continue. It's not a one-day job. We'll continue to educate our insured clients and even potential ones in the future that once you insure your farm or your project and claim crystallizes, quickly report through phone call or through text, then follow up with the necessary write-up. Once those things are done, I don't see any reason why claims adjustment could not be done on time. Then it also comes to agreement as to what has been offered to the farmer. The farmer might not quickly want to, might reject what has been offered to him or her, and then it will stress the time within which that claims will be paid. Once the offer is made and is accepted, there's nothing stopping the insurance company from paying. Moreover, when you said claims occur, claim can occur anytime. We insure from physiological, from planting to physiological maturity. Even when you have between your planting and your harvesting, anytime claims occur, the farmer is justified to make his claim, and the insurance is under contract of obligation of contract or contract of contract. So is under contract to adjust, to respond to the farmer to ensure, because just like we said in Nike plows you back to prosperity, not to poverty. So immediately claims crystallizes and is reported, action of the insurer is to move immediately, because as we said, agriculture is time bound. It cannot continue to wait, especially that most of our crop farming is based on is rain fed. So we cannot afford to waste time. But any other, we have taken note of the suggestions on technological improvement, and we will continue to work on it. Just like we have just, NAIC is trying to deploy drones, application of drones too, to help our operations and other things. It's not a one-day thing. It's something that is a continuum. We will continue to work on it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. I just have one more person, and please, as much as possible, just a minute. And that is Fatono Ayola. I think he's been raising his hand ever since. So please, as much as possible, Fatono, if you can hear me, I want you to quickly ask a question or drop in your suggestion, whichever one it is. And after that, we'll round off this session. Fatono, are you there? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Charles Ndai, are you there as well? Okay, all right. In the absence of these beautiful participants who have bravely raised their hands and they are unable to ask their questions, I would ask that we call this this session, we call it to a close, and I'll ask the Damola will hand over. Unfortunately, Charles, I think the time has lapsed, so Damola will take it from here, just so that it could actually usher us into the breakout session. Thank you everyone for participating in this. For those that are interested, you can follow us to the breakout session, and those that are perhaps on a time crunch, you are allowed to leave the platform. But thank you very much. Over to Damola.
Hi, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for everyone for joining the conversation. It's been an interesting one. And because of time, we promised an hour. We're over that time, but I know that there are a lot of things that we want to still say. And so there's going to be a breakout session just after this. We're going to do a breakout session now, and it's going to be randomly done. So by the time you get in there, you can have conversations, with people that are around. So if you are willing to hang on to that, you can connect and have conversations with other people who are part of this session. So thank you very much again. And yes, follow us on all social media platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, IG, Instagram, and let's continue to have these conversations. A lot of things have been said, and I don't want to repeat them. So thank you very much, and you have a good rest of the week. And so you can join the conversation during the breakout session.
Hello, Fiona. Hi, Fiona. Hello, Fiona. Oh, hi, Yusuf. Hello, Yusuf. Hi, Fiona. Hi, Yusuf.
Hello.
Hi, Yusuf.
Hi. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm sure that I'm hoping that you actually joined the webinar at the really early time and that you enjoyed it. My name is Folumi. I'm a co-host on the Insurtech Business Series podcast.
So by watching webinars, was good. The webinar for by the main information about agri insurance, also in the agriculture, because the agriculture is also it's the main sector in Africa and also here in Morocco.
Oh wow, you're coming. Oh wow, yeah, that's actually absolutely true. So, were you able to take anything for, most of the time when we have conversations, usually typically around, our environment. But were you able to take anything back for Morocco?
So that the environment of Morocco also, it's like the with other countries in Africa facing pollution, environment. So here in Morocco also they need also the restructuration of agriculture here, and also to improve our trade, the relationship trade between other countries.
Oh, I see. But I'm guessing that Morocco should actually be a part of, the African Union as it is, and that way, I mean, in terms of penetrating
Yeah,
that
also,
market space.
yeah.
Fantastic. So, I mean, this is one of the developments that we are looking forward to see, especially the opportunities in different parts of Africa that we are yet to explore. I honestly think that is going to be an interesting one. And, this is where we could have partnerships with, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do
So
in,
I sorry.
what do you do?
I'm working on real estate sector. So I sell the land of housing, and with fire company, and I was a former banker also at Bank of Africa here in Morocco. With you know, so I was working in department trade also. Uh, and department that means it's the logistic transport the meaning of transportation, and that you can all the goods with transition by bank. So also the agriculture sector, and the environment.
Oh, wow, fantastic, sir. So, I think there are other people also in the waiting room. I think it would be nice to meet them. I could see Cynthia. Hi, Cynthia. Can you hear me?
Sorry?
So there are other people in this breakout session as well.
Yeah, it was well, very, very, very well by the good by the good panelists also.
Oh, fantastic! I like to hear that, Yusuf, and I'm hoping that we can have, collaborations in the future. Especially with this whole free trade zone. It would be nice to, perceive how things are done differently in Morocco. Not just, the eastern part
Yes,
of Africa or
with
southern part
pleasure.
of the western part. Thank you very
With
much.
pleasure, with pleasure.
Fantastic. Hi, Cynthia.
Hi, how are you?
Can't hear anything. Cynthia. Okay. I think Omar is having. Hi, Cynthia. My name is Folumi, and this is Yusuf. We've been having conversations around, just trying as much as possible to meet and greet. So, hello, Cynthia. How do you do today?
So I'm working because of COVID is not COVID-19 virus. I'm in my house. I am working in my house, and also the project who I said he's near my house. He's in my neighborhood. So I'm working at house now actually.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice to know that. So, Cynthia, hi. Did you enjoy the session?
About the session? Sorry, the communication I interrupt. Sorry.
Cynthia, I don't think it's quite clear. I can't hear you. Yeah, I can't hear her. It's a bit shaky.
Yeah.
It's a bit shaky. I'm struggling to hear you, Cynthia. Yes, I can hear now. Hi, everyone. Oh, what the? No, it's still a bit shaky. Like there's like interference with the network.
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Okay. Hi, Abby more. Sorry, I find it very difficult to pronounce your name. Could you like help me out, please?
Hello, Finn.
Yes, I can hear you. Your name, please. I always seem to like, I never seem to get the right pronunciation.
It's pronounced Ibimobowe.
Bimobowe, thank you. I
Yes.
don't think I'm going to miss this. Let me just write down the syllables right now.
You're welcome.
So how have you been? I hope you enjoyed the session. I have here Cynthia, Yusuf, and now you joined.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, I
Can you
didn't
hear me
get
now?
that. Yeah, I can hear you now.
I have here with me Yusuf, and I have here Cynthia as well during this breakout session. So do you mind introducing yourself?
Okay, my name is Gomora Ibimobowe. I work as an underwriter with Royal Exchanger and Insurance, and I'm also a practicing farmer, specialty on tomato farming, cucumber, and fish farming.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I do basically.
Oh, okay. So what do you think about today's session? Do you think it covered as much as you wanted it to?
Yes, it did. Most impressive was having Naik, in the presence of Naik in the conversation. You know, I've always wanted to have or hear Naik's part as regards agri insurance. And I think now I'm beginning to have a different perspective on how they operate as well. I think it's very, very insightful. You guys have really done well. I appreciate. This is my second training actually joining you guys, and it's been quite educative. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you very much. We're hoping to, we realize that there's a lot of growing markets now in Africa, especially in the agricultural space. And I think one of the SDG goals is to diversify the Nigerian economy, or generally economies in Africa, right? So this just seemed like the second point, and it was important for us to bring these conversations to, the fore. So again, thank you for joining in.
You're
We hope
welcome.
to have futuristic collaborations with you all. Cynthia, I think I'm struggling so hard to hear you, and I feel so bad because it would have been nice to actually meet the person. Okay, I don't know. I really don't know what's happening. Okay, all right, guys. You know that you can actually join the other breakout session, so you could have the opportunity to meet as much as you can before the entire Zoom meeting is over. But it's really nice to meet you guys, and I hope that we can have like futuristic collaborations very soon. Cynthia, I'm going to look you up on LinkedIn because it seems like I'm unable to meet you, and I feel very bad about that. So I hope that you're on LinkedIn, and I'll send you a request. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Hope you have a fantastic day.